Welcome to Rising Stars, where Miriam Knight, publisher of New Consciousness Review, interviews exciting new voices in the world of progressive and transformational books, films, and ideas, who offer intriguing perspectives on life, the universe, and everything in between. Join us as we celebrate the conscious awakening and explore many expressions of consciousness in action.
Welcome, everyone. I'm Miriam Knight, and I'm so delighted to welcome my two guests today. They're J.D. Messenger and Kate Wildrick. J.D. and I met years ago when his #1 bestseller, 11 Days in May, came out. J.D. was one of 37 distinguished graduates from the US Naval Academy Class of 1981. He's a former fireman, nuclear submarine officer, Exxon executive, Ernst Young Partner, CEO of Ernst Young Singapore, CEO of Gemini Ernst Young in Southeast Asia, a TV show producer, host, and currently the CEO of Essence Enterprises. JD's passion for promoting human potential shines through all of his work, and I'm so delighted to welcome him here today. Now, my second guest is Kate Wildrick, and I met her more recently when she was exhibiting her aquaponics system at a conference I attended. She's currently the co-founder of the Ingenuity Innovation Center and spent 12 years working in the corporate world as a human capital development specialist. Kate has taught at a number of academic institutions and presented her work on generational issues and trends in the workplace to institutional audiences like the Red Cross, the World Bank, Kaiser Permanente, and the CIA. And I am delighted to have Kate with us. So welcome, both of you. I was so excited to learn about the work you're doing together.
Thank you, Miriam. It's great to be here.
Anyway, let's jump right in.
Always wonderful talking with you.
And you too, JD. Let's jump right in and share your work with our audience. Now, ladies first. Kate, tell us about yourself and the Ingenuity Innovation Center and what you're focusing your energies on today.
Sure. Thank you so much. Well, again, as mentioned, I am the co-founder, and I also go by the title of a paradigm shifter. So what this means is that my husband and I founded this center in St. Helens, Oregon, on 20 acres in 2012. And this vision was really birthed out of the nightmare of the economic downturn, when at that time, in 2009, I had been owning and operating a town in Central Oregon called Service Creek, population 2. And I learned where really bad country songs came from: when you lose your town, you lose your trailer, that your husband, your dog dies, your cat runs away. And then I relocated back to Portland, Oregon. And at that point in my life, I really recognized I didn't want to go back to the corporate world doing any more what I call soul-killing work. So at that time, when I had nothing to fall back on, that's when I met my new partner and husband, Aaron. And he had also been laid off, and we began to dream about new ideas. And he's a wonderful self-taught inventor and focuses on a lot of alternative energy solutions. And it was really through his work that it inspired me to step into my passion and purpose to basically create a center where people from all different generations and backgrounds could come together to share their gifts, their passion, and their purpose. So what we've done is we've created a space to do just that. So we focus in on 4 different areas around sustainability, where we tackle food, health and well-being, water, and alternative energy. And we basically do community-supported innovation ideas. We bring people's ideas forward that they may see on YouTube or just getting inspired by things they may see in social media, and together we blunder and learn, and then we share what we learn using an open source platform.
Wow, that is so impressive and such a sign of the times. JD, tell our listeners about your journey.
Well, Miriam, you and I have spoken a few times over the years, and your guests can go back to some of those other interviews. But to get the long version, but the short story, is all of those things you mentioned, left brain, reactor kinetics, nuclear engineer, advanced math major, corporate CEO for one of the largest firms doing mergers and outsourcing and all that. And I broke my neck, and I went through a tunnel, and I had a near-death experience, which ended up being a complete existential crisis in my life. And it took me 6 months to learn how to walk and talk and chew gum again. But, the physical recovery was nothing compared to the mental recovery and suffering, because it really shattered my definition of who I am, where I came from, why I'm here, and the purpose and meaning of life. And I quit the corporate job after I recovered, and I traveled the world. I launched a radio show. I began a quest like Don Quixote or Monty Python or, King Arthur. I'm not sure which, but, I went into the forest searching for answers and came back out at the same place 12 years later and discovered, the place for the first time. And the realization that I am a spiritual being, that I am a part of you, you are a part of me, we are all a part of the same air we breathe and water we drink. We share 99% the same DNA. We are less than 1 in 1 billion parts biologically and physically different, and that part which is biological or physical can't even be seen with a microscope at 100 million times magnification. So my awakening was really that separation is an illusion, and that unity is really the only way forward, unity in mind and body and being and spirit. And I spent many years trying to figure out how to take this sort of awakening. And as you know, I had the #1 best-selling book, and I traveled around the country for 4 years, and that's where I met Kate. And I was talking about this new world mosaic where we build communities of individuals who are using healthy and organic food and renewable energy, because I was an energy expert, for 25 years, and pure water. And we create these communities, or unity villages, I call them sometimes, where we are one with the land and the air and each other, and we create jobs, and it's highly productive. And one thing led to another, and it became the Messenger Group, which is the website is themessengergrp.com. And so me and a bunch of other wonderful people like Kate and others from around the world have this vision that in 10 years we can build 1,000 acres of aquaponics and create 15 or 20,000 jobs, food that is far more nutritious, 100% natural, and build communities surrounding these aquaponics villages.
So what you're doing is creating a model of both communal living and sustainability that can serve as inspiration for other people to build their own communities. Is that so?
Yeah, that's it. And I mean, it says a little bit on the website, but Miriam, there are hundreds of millions of people, if not billions, that are lacking in food and water and certainly jobs. I mean, believe it or not, if you check some of the health and National Institute of Health and CDC and research, you will discover right now that 85% of Americans are lacking in a healthy nutritional diet. You will discover that there are 9 million children starving in America every day, let alone the world. You will discover that, there are cities running out of water in California and Texas and many places. And so, this isn't a luxury. We, out of necessity, the planet and Mother Nature are crying out for us to create renewable, regenerative energy solutions and water solutions and healthy organic food. So I think the integrated living sustainable ecosystem model is a beautiful solution that solves all these issues.
Perhaps, Kate, because you've been right there in the field, how does aquaponics differ from hydroponics, and how does it actually provide such a solution?
Sure. What I've come to learn with aquaponics, so we started out with our 1,500 square foot greenhouse to learn and blunder with. And we were inspired by one of the most well-recognized teachers and leaders out there named Murray Hallam out of Australia. So we worked on reverse engineering his designs, and what we learned over the course of doing aquaponics for the last 4 years is that it does not require any commercial pesticides and fertilizers. Really, with the integration of having fish into the system, their waste gets converted into by microbes and bacteria that live in the plant beds, which we have 3/4-inch river rock, that where this ecosystem of these microbes and healthy bacteria live, convert that waste into bioavailable food for the plants. And the water's cleaned and then returns back to the fish. And what we've seen is up to 50% faster growth rate for our vegetables and greens. It's absolutely phenomenal, and the taste is incredible. So even after owning my town, where we did have a restaurant there, the produce actually lasts a lot longer, and it's organic. Comes right out of the greenhouse, and you can see what you feed your fish and where that fish waste goes and how it produces these wonderful plants that are thriving. And I just think about what a beautiful metaphor that is, that if we each had everything that we need to do our best and brightest growing, and that's exactly what's happening in the aquaponics system, we would be doing some pretty phenomenal things. So that's the major difference. Hydroponics does use more water. The water does eventually go bad because you're adding nutrients and fossil fertilizers. There are some organics into there that you can also choose. But basically, the water goes bad, and you have to discharge it. Aquaponics
it's significant, right, Kate? I mean, it's 70 to 90% less water.
Wow. Okay, well, that's the music for our first break coming up. Stay with us, and we will be back with J.D. Messenger and Kate Wildrick.
Your conscious lifestyle on steroids. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. As difficult as it is to believe, there are places in Africa where human traffickers sell albino children and their body parts for use in magic rituals. Humanity Healing International is actively working in Uganda to change this paradigm. The Albino Rescue Project finds albino children who are at risk and places them in safe schools and environments where they can learn and grow free from fear. To learn more or to sponsor a child, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
Hi everyone, this is Shay Parker, the host of Best of the Best, which airs live right here on IOM Radio every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Pacific. I'm super excited to bring you expert guest hosts, spiritual discussions, free psychic readings, and so much more. I can promise that you will not want to miss this one-of-a-kind, fun, yet touching, down-to-earth show. Join us every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Pacific on OTR-FM. This is Shay Parker, and I can't wait to see you there.
Mother, Mother Ocean.
Hi, I'm Jimmy Buffett. West Indian manatees are one of the most unique animals on Earth, and we're still finding out so many new things about them. But manatees are endangered, and many of them are killed or injured each year because of watercraft collisions or other human activities. You can help save these gentle marine mammals. For free tips on what you can do, call Save the Manatee Club at 1-800-432-JOIN. Thank you.
Welcome back to this fascinating discussion about aquaponics with Kate Wildrick and J.D. Messenger. So let me understand. You have these tanks of fish on top of which you place some kind of platform with I think you said river rock, and then you put the plants in there. So do the plants' roots go down into the water?
Yes, they do. And the river rock with the media beds is just one way that you can also do aquaponics. And then we also have the deep water culture side, which is unique to a lot of the aquaculture practices. So you may have seen pictures on the internet with rafts where there's, lettuces floating. And maybe you've been in the grocery stores where you kind of see these clamshell packs where you see the roots in the lettuces in the bottom and they wrap around. Well, that's what hydroponics and aquaponics does. So they just float there. The roots absorb the nutrients in the water. It's highly oxygenated.
Sounds very efficient.
Miriam, I got a little set up in my office because I love this stuff so much. I got it as a surprise Christmas present. And so I've got my tropical fish aquarium, and on the top of my aquarium is lettuce, arugula, kale, parsley growing. And, like Kate says, it grows 50% faster. I harvest a crop of fresh salad greens every 2 weeks. And I'm on, I think I've probably cut it down 8 or 10 times now in 4 or 5 months.
Oh, I know.
And it tastes so good. It makes your mouth water. It's crunchy. I've never tasted arugula and lettuce like this before. It's unbelievable.
Mm-hmm. It has so much flavor. And I just remember when JD first came to visit us here at Ingenuity, we were doing a trial down in our basement while we were building the greenhouse, and he got so excited. He's like, look at this. Can you imagine the potential of, how we could feed people? And I said, I know. So I'm so glad that he has a little kit there.
So the real potential...
I stopped naming my fish, though. I don't know if you heard that.
Well, but Kate's fish actually are another crop, aren't they? Aren't they a protein crop?
Yeah, we raise tilapia, and we also raise koi. We did learn about goldfish is that this is kind of a funny story that we learned about doing a training last year, that they actually are bred not to poop. And I guess it kind of makes sense for moms cleaning out their kids' fish tanks and whatnot. So we always look for the big poopers because they definitely make the best, tomatoes and also the vegetables and stuff. And then, yes, you can raise the fish for a crop that way as well. So you get a protein source out of that.
Sorry, my mind is still going back to the constipated goldfish. Seriously?
I know.
Okay.
It's a funny fact.
Go there.
Get your mind out of the gutter, Miriam. Pun intended.
So this is really a potentially fabulous solution for communities. How many people can one greenhouse of, X feet feed? Have you done those calculations?
Kate, can I take that one?
Oh, yes. You've been chatting with Arvin, so please, by all means, do that.
Yeah. Well, let me go back and mention Murray Hallam, which is Murray, Murray, Hallam, HALLAM.com. Murray is the master. He's been doing this for over a decade. He's recognized around the world as a master teacher. And he came to the United States, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but one of his students was a young man named Arvind Venkataraman. And Arvind is an engineer from MIT. He went to 3 classes of Murray's, and he became an expert. And so Arvind is now building the largest aquaponics farms around the world. No one has built more than 1 or 2. Arvind has had 19 projects. And 4 to 10 acres, the largest in the world. I think the largest is in China, 10 acres that he built. And so, Kate introduced me to Murray and Arvind, and there's another gentleman named Bevan who really connected all of us, Bevan Suits in Atlanta. So shout out to these 3 gentlemen. And we got together and started, me doing my macro. I was an economic advisor to governments and nations and innovation and and ecosystem development. So I took the little model and started to scale it, and the numbers are very solid. Basically, in a 1 acre farm, you could generate 500,000 pounds of food, fish and greens and vegetables. So in a 4 acre farm, you can generate 2 million pounds of food a year. That's about 1.7 million meals using the USDA kind of standard of 1.2 pounds per meal. So, and as Kate said, no hormones, no chemicals, no pesticides, 100% natural, 70 to 90% less water, 50% faster growth. So, the economic model is just one of the best models out there besides the health and nutrition.
Now, you said it was 90% less water than aquaponics. How does it compare to conventional agriculture? It's 70 to 90% less water than traditional agriculture. And as Kate pointed out, hydroponics, which is what a lot of people know about and confuse with aquaponics, hydroponics doesn't use the fish. So it's aquaponics when we use the fish instead of the chemicals, and the nutrients come from the fish effluent. So, those numbers, you can say it's 70 to 90% more efficient. It kind of depends a little bit on the size of the system and the scale and the efficiencies and whatnot. But 70 and what
to
about
90%
the space?
Less water.
What about the space requirement?
Like Kate said, you could have a 500 square foot house, a greenhouse. You could put it in your garage, your basement. Mine's in my little fish tank's in my office. But the kind that we're talking about with the Messenger Group, and we've all formed a coalition now. Murray, Arvin, Devin, Kate, myself, and others have formed this coalition, and sharing that vision that we want to, over the next 10 years, build 1,000 acres, $1 billion, 400 or 500 million pounds of food, 500 million pounds of food in 1,000 acres. So you could start that. You could do a 10,000 square foot facility, in 10,000 square feet. But the kind of I'm trying
to get an equivalency between planting your lettuces in the fields versus in a hydroponic or aquaponic facility. Space equivalent?
Well, you're going to get, you're going to get far more growth and production or yield, as they say, and Kate can talk about some more of those numbers and her experiences. But the yield is going to be, 3, 4, 6 times as much. I mean, it depends upon the crops that you're using. I mean, Arvind is in Oman right now building a 4 acre farm, and you can look at some pictures on the website. Again, that's themessengergrp.com. Under Pathways, there's some pictures on the Pathways page, and those crops are 4 weeks old. So you can't come close to growing things that fast or healthy in traditional agriculture. And then the big difference, again, I'll stop talking after I say this and let Kate jump in, is the efficiencies. I mean, with water in traditional agriculture, 90% of the water and something like 50% of the nutrients, or maybe it's 80% of the nutrients, they're gone in the dirt. There's no dirt in aquaponics.
Yeah, and certainly growing lettuces in the desert is challenging. Yeah. Kate, leap in.
Well, that's the other thing, Kate. Yeah, well, the other thing, there was a giant aquaponics farm built in the middle of the desert in India. It's now one of the largest wheat producing farms out of a desert. So, the beauty is that, if you're struggling with climate where you can't grow food, or soil and you can't grow food, or you don't have water and you can't grow food, you can put these, just about anywhere as long as, the weather is reasonable. I mean, it doesn't even have to be a very warm climate.
Kate?
Yeah, people have done them all over the world. And, I mean, we've done some lettuce trials, and just for an example for lettuce, when you're growing them in the ground, conventional agriculture, it can take 56 days for it to mature. In aquaponics system, it's around 26. That's huge.
Wow.
So when you think about, just when you're just growing lettuces, that's and that's what a lot of people do with aquaponics systems and also hydroponics because it's a quick turnaround. But we do see with the fish effluents that they taste a lot better, they hold up a lot better, even when you're shipping them or transporting them and stuff like that. Restaurants certainly absolutely love them because they can taste the difference. And just like J.D. was saying, it depends on the crop that you're actually raising and growing. But what I just really love about this is that from the GMO-free perspective, you're not, adding in things that are just unnatural. And I just think about this for – oh, go ahead.
I was just going to ask, what crops have you tried in this system?
Oh, my gosh. We've done all sorts of kinds of tomatoes. Turn out phenomenal. They do not taste like the cardboard tomatoes that are in the grocery stores that we often see out of hydroponic systems. They taste really super flavorful. And another interesting little factoid is that we had a gentleman who does his own organic farm up in Washington, and he brought this little handy-dandy tool called a bricks tool that basically measures the sugar contents in foods down. And this little brick scale, ours tested out with our tomatoes on the realm of 12, where his were coming in at around a 6 or 7. So that meant that this was just absolutely, the sugar and carbohydrate content in there is what gave it a lot of the flavor for the tomatoes. And we could see that in the kales as well. We've measured that as well. So he was just like, wow, this is just, performing superbly compared to my organic garden that I've been doing.
Right. Oh, there's that break music again. We'll take this discussion, pick it up when we get back. We're speaking with Kate Wildrick and J.D. Messenger.
Free your mind with OMTimes Radio, IOM FM.
Have you wondered how to change your love paradigm? The secret key is finding a love partnership, not just a regular connection. How do you find these? Through conscious relationships. Ascending Hearts Dating is a dating site for people like you that believes in second chances and a different type of spiritual connection. Try Ascending Hearts for free at ascendinghearts.com and change your love paradigm. Ascending Hearts, the premier dating community for the spiritually awake.
Grab a cup of tea or a glass of wine and tune in for Inspired Conversations with publisher Linda Joy on Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern. Linda creates sacred space for leading female luminaries, empowering authors, heart-centered female entrepreneurs, coaches, and healers. A soulful venue where guests openly share the fears and obstacles they've overcome, wisdom and lessons learned, and the personal journey that led them to the transformational work they do in the world. Inspired Conversations to empower you on your path to authentic, soulful living.
There is no death, only a change of worlds. Chief Seattle. Deborah Livingston is an award-winning intuitive psychic medium whose international services include mediumship, spiritual assessment, animal communication, and spiritual mentoring. She is a published author and a trained shaman. Deborah provides evidential messages from spirit and departed loved ones. Learn more at deblivemedium.com. That's DEBLIV medium.com.
Hi, this is Christina Ricci with RAIN. Every 2 minutes, another American is sexually assaulted. If you or someone you know has been sexually assaulted, you are not alone. Help is just a call or click away through the National Sexual Assault Hotline. Please call 1-800-656-HOPE, that's HOPE, or visit RAIN.org, That's RAINN.org.
Brought to you by Rain and this station.
Welcome back. My guests are J.D. Messenger and Kate Wildrick. We're talking about aquaponics. So, Kate, do you use only what you would call salad vegetables, things that grow above the ground? What about things like berries or root vegetables?
Yeah, those are great questions. We've, going back to your previous question of what else we have grown in there, I'll just kind of run through a few things that we have in our system right now. We have kales, we have lettuces, we have tomatoes, squashes, pumpkins, watermelons, strawberries. We even have a lemon tree. We have asparagus growing, oregano, thyme, and all sorts of other different spices that we love to use in our cooking. Sage does really well during this time of the year in the fall, and rosemary is a super happy plant in there. There's just lots. And one of the things that we do for our root vegetables, like when you think about carrots or potatoes, we actually do a different kind of technique called wicking beds. And what you do there is you have gravel on this bottom of this container, and that's probably like 2 or 3 inches, and then we have a ground cloth that goes over that, and the rest is composted dirt. And then we have a little plumbing system that allows the fish water excrement to seep into the bottom of the bed, and it's wicked up by the root vegetables. So we've done experiments where we put, carrots in the media beds and stuff like this because when you see our system, it's constantly filling and draining. And what we've learned is that your little roots are only going to go as far as to find the water. And if it's always coming up to the same height, you're going to have little stubby carrots. So we've learned that in the compost mixture, they do really well. And the extra added benefit of doing the wicking beds is that your top 2 inches of your soil stay dry, so they're even more efficient than conventional gardening as well, where JD's mentioned that a lot of the water just seeps away and it's gone. So this is a nice little container there. But we've experimented with a lot of different things and just continuously learning. And then with certainly Arvin's expertise, I always enjoy when he and Marie come every year. In fact, we're getting ready to do our next event kicking off on Saturday, October 1st. We'll do a welcoming dinner, and then we're doing a 4-day masterclass of small farms and commercial aquaponic masterclass for individuals that are looking to learn more. I always am so impressed with how these two innovators are coming up with new techniques, new ideas, and new information as they collaborate with people from all over the world.
Well, where can people get information about this event?
Yes, a great question. So this information could be found on my website at youringenuity.com. And right on the homepage there, you'll see a picture of who I affectionately recall, say that it's Murray Hallam. He's the godfather of modern aquaponics. So you can see his picture there and click on that and get all sorts of information. Like I said, we'll be kicking off the event this Saturday at 6 p.m. for a welcoming dinner. And then Sunday we go right into a 4-day masterclass with people that are coming from all over.
Now, are these people who actually are experienced farmers, or what kind of background do you need to become a aquaponics farmer?
Well, I'm living proof that you don't need to have experience for sure. I've certainly gone about this and learning from the community, research and design, perspective. But this is our second year for doing this class, and I've met folks that are actually doing aquaponic farms. We've met some that are doing orphanages, others that are getting commercial systems off the ground. We have a lot of folks that are looking at how they can take their farms and basically grow year-round. And there's certainly a lot of conversation, especially happening with climate change, about other ways to do things. There's even a lot more interest about how the application of aquaponics could be even applied to growing medicine. So that's an interesting thing when you think about having this really highly nutrient-dense, plant or produce or medicine that is just jam-packed full of nutrients where, my gosh, what could that do for the health of a body and for healing? So we're seeing more and more people coming from all sorts of different backgrounds, and there's a lot of younger people, I'll say, I do see coming through the classes where they don't want to participate in contributing to these things that are not bringing about health and abundance to people. And they're looking for another way. So this is one of the things that we've really done to cultivate here at Ingenuity is how do we help create a community of support where you may not be the business person, but how can you connect in with others that can help you if you really have a passion for farming and agriculture to bring your vision to life. So that's been one of our focuses as kind of stepping in as a rural innovation center in that regard and providing the support and just showing as a living example that you don't need money and infrastructure to be able to get your dream off the ground. It just takes community support, which is at the heart of everything that we do.
Well, you probably do need some money. I know that JD has his little tropical fish farm in his office. Can this be scaled up, say, to a backyard gardener? And what kind of, and would your event be suitable for that level? And what kind of investment are we talking about?
That's a great question. So one of the things that we're doing here at the class and workshop is that we are building Murray Hallam's design called an Indy 23. And this is 23 cubic square meters of aquaponics space that feeds a family of 4. So we do have the raft beds for the floating lettuces. And then we also have the wicking beds and the media beds. So we're going to be constructing this in our brand new second greenhouse. So participants can basically get hands-on experience. And the interesting thing is that Arvind Ben Katterman, who attended one of Murray's workshops, participated in learning just from the system that Murray talked about with the Indy 23. And he took this concept and looked at scaling this up. So going back to, the big picture of what we're all looking at, you can do this from the small side and then also bring this up to the large side. I mean, what we did here at Ingenuity was we looked at all sorts of materials that we don't always get a second look to that are around here in the Pacific Northwest, like food-grade containers, pallets that get just, recycled or discarded. And we went on a scavenger hunt to build our own system out of these different parts and pieces. In fact, many of the parts that we're doing for the Indy 23 build were recycled and upcycled materials that were just being discarded from a lot of these building and construction sites. So we put it out to our community, and lo and behold, they showed up. And so if you were to buy all of this stuff brand new, with the exception of the greenhouse, it would cost you probably about $6,000 to feed a family of 4. And then depending if you're going to be doing a small farm or commercial size, we'd certainly recommend that you spend some time talking with Arvind and Murray about getting the right equipment to be able to produce on a commercial level, because it's very different when you're actually growing food for a distributor, a restaurant, or a farmer's market and whatnot.
So, JD, you're the numbers man.
Let me just say, Murray's got some really great videos that are free at murrayhallam.com. Again, murrayhallam.com. I think he's got about 20 videos, and he shows, building the 23 square meter, which is 250 square feet, all the way up to greenhouses, all the way up to, acre farms. And he said millions of views on some of these videos. They're really great. What were you going to ask, Miriam?
Well, I was going to ask if the initial investment is about $6,000 for this family of 4-sized operation. How does that compare with an annual food budget, and what would be the payback period? And this is leaving aside, of course, the enhanced nutrition of the food. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's less than a year.
Less than a year?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, a lot of people don't realize it, but food, if you're doing your budgets and you track your expenses or expenditures, you'll realize that food is a huge component of your living expenses. And on a national average, it's about $300 to $500 a person a month. That's what we spend on food. And, and that depends on how much meat or produce you're buying and, that sort of thing. But $300 to $500 a person a month is kind of the average family food bill. And just calculate what you would spend on the vegetables and the greens. And, it's a one-time setup. And, of course, you're buying some feed for the fish, and you're replenishing about 5% of the water in your tank a month. But, in my little tank, that just comes out of my tap. I've got good tap water. But, you can buy a Brita. I mean, if you got a small unit and you're doing 10 gallons a month, buy yourself a Brita filter and take out any contaminants. The key is, of course, you got to have good, pure water with no chlorine and stuff in it that would hurt the fish. And you can't put the difference between, say, my little garden aquaponics tank in my office and a regular aquarium is, there's no chemicals. I'm not using any chemicals to take out the chlorine or chemicals, for the food, for the fish. So it's got to be 100% natural. But, but once you build, if you built that $6,000 unit, you're done, I mean, it's just going to keep, you take care of it. It's just going to keep going. Mm-hmm. So the payout's very fast.
I mean, the way that we've worked with people is to just reverse engineer. What are you going to use?
Reverse engineered whatever you need. I see.
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly.
Well, we will be back shortly with our final segment. It's gone very quickly. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Bringing you the best of the conscious minds in the world. OMTimes Radio, your conscious lifestyle on steroids. Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network.
Join me, Maggie Chula, on Mondays at noon Eastern for Mastermind with Maggie. Let's work together in a mastermind. We can resolve life's problems and create goals for the future. Build action steps empowering you to create your life in partnership with your divine source of light, your soul. Manifesting your goals can be simple and easy, so come with your problems and leave with a plan. The Akashic Master Teachers and I are waiting to help you.
Hi, this is Carly Simon for LifeBeat. The music industry fights AIDS. The AIDS crisis isn't over. There have been amazing scientific breakthroughs, but people are still dying, and your local AIDS organization needs your help more now than ever. Volunteer and make a difference.
And we're back. So this is our final segment. I want to focus in on the bigger vision of how you see this meeting a global need and where you want to take it.
Well,
JD, do you want to take this one?
That's a great one. So, we're not just talking about aquaponics and food. And don't forget, in that whole discussion, besides the vegetables and greens, you're getting the fish protein. It's the idea of an ecosystem. We all live in an ecosystem where we're trying to maintain the balance between the air, the planet, the water, the food, our bodies, the environment, and so forth. And as I said in the first segment, the needs are massive. If we just focus on the United States, which we consider to be one of the largest industrialized nations in the world, we still have 25% of children living in poverty, huge percentages, as I mentioned, 8 or 9%, children starving every day, 85% malnourished. One of the reasons we're malnourished is because the food that we buy, which is processed foods, has a lot of the nutrients that we normally need are stripped out in the processing process, and then as well in the cooking process. And then secondly, or third, there's a lot of, fructose and sugar and corn syrup and hormones and chemicals and pesticides, which is further contaminating our bodies. And so, when you do some of the research at a macro national kind of level, one of the reasons why, diabetes has increased threefold and heart disease and obesity, 36% of the population obese, is because we're just not eating right. And we're not eating, then the stuff we're eating it doesn't have the nutrients. So the whole idea at the big picture is that we build a community around the aquaponics farm as a catalyst. And so the food that's generated, and again, I'll give you a 1 acre model. A 1 acre model generates 500,000 pounds of food and greens and vegetables and fish. That's 400,000 meals in 1 acre farm, which, when you build it and integrate it with the energy, solar power, wind power, and even a water generation unit, you're talking it might be $2 to $3 million. It could be more. It depends on greenhouses and things like that. But you're also going to be generating a couple of $1 million a year from that. And so if I go to a 4 acre farm and I spend $8 million, I'm going to be generating $8 million of revenue a year, which is about 70 to 90% return on investment. And from there, you can create 80 jobs. You can integrate it with the local schools or university and have internships. You can give food to the food bank. You can be selling it to a farmer's market. And, I'm going to flip it back to Kate. It becomes a whole community way of living, where people who care about saving the planet, conserving water, having healthy food, pure water, and, who share values of sustainability and whole health and wellness. And so, Kate, let me flip it back to you so you can talk about the human capital and community point of view.
Sure. Well, what I see from, our biggest vantage point is if we're able to get people's needs met and we are working collectively together, ideally we should be able to free up some time for each other and helping each other get out of debt, which is a big thing because there's so much energy focused on just barely surviving. And if we can work collectively and collaboratively together, we can do a lot of our own inner work and a lot of the healing which is needing to happen so we can actually come up with ways to step into our genius, our creative self, our passion, our purpose. And what we, JD and the team and I have had just wonderful conversations of imagining the possibilities of what this could bring if people are willing to do these steps. And we see that there's going to be lots of different pathways that these things could unfold. And this is kind of the journey we get to go on together. We're not exactly sure where we're going or how it's going to unfold, but the vision we know is doable with the numbers. We've certainly been doing this, on a micro level here at Ingenuity for the last, close to 5 years, where, my husband and I helped found the land with Aaron's mom, who's an art therapist, and then attracted in another couple of people who, Brad and Lisa, who are stepping on board to help out with the retreat side. their vision, and we've touched so many people's lives where they're very inspired about, yes, we recognize we need to do something different, but we don't know what that is. And it's just very curious, to me that if we have the space to be able to create and try different things, I have no doubt that some of the most amazing solutions are there. We just need the time and space to do that. So that's also something that's being integrated in here. So we're focusing again on helping people get basic needs met with the food, the water, the health, the energy, those basics, certainly with the job piece. And then as we start to build community connections, which food is such a great connector. Everybody has stories around food and recipes. Then we are living proof. We're seeing the shift. We're seeing community and connections being built that really do help heal our communities and bring about new ideas that really are creating sustainable solutions.
I've seen some reports on the web of people building hydroponic installations on rooftops in inner cities. And as we know, inner cities tend to be a kind of nutritional wasteland. Is aquaponics equally suitable, or are the weight requirements of the water too heavy?
No, I don't think so. I mean, you're replacing the dirt. Yeah, you're replacing the dirt, which is also very heavy, with the water. And, you don't need a lot of water flowing through. And, when you think about those big buildings, think about the construction that's required and all the water and plumbing that's already in the buildings, which is one of the reasons why we're interested in talking to real estate developers. With the big macro vision model, we're interested in talking to real estate developers, economic zone development planners, economic development planners, and nation states, or municipalities. I think of several cities in California where, they're short on water, the farming land is limited, but yet you've got a lot of sun. And so, you put solar film over the greenhouses. There's some of the new emerging technologies. We integrate the emerging technologies with the, solar and wind and water. And, it's a beautiful model, and it creates jobs. There's, you could call them farmers if you want, but there's biologists, there's botologists, or there's aquaculturists, botanists, thank you, aquaculturists, there's herbalists, nutritionists, educating and trainers, so it's a whole economic, model.
Well, it's a model that may be forced on us, because I think I read that the temperature zones for agriculture have actually shifted north a whole zone. I mean, our traditional agricultural models are going to have to change anyway, and particularly in the southern part of the United States, which has generally been our agricultural focus. It's getting too hot and too dry. So this sounds like it could be the answer to a maiden's prayer.
Well,
if you can do it in Oman, you can do it in Arizona.
Yeah, if you can build a farm out of a desert in India, and you can build farms in Oman, and you can do it anywhere. In fact, there's a guy in Singapore that's building aquaponics farms on roofs of the buildings in Singapore. So it's popping up everywhere.
This is absolutely the kind of thinking, not just from the technology point of view, but also what so excites me is the integrated community point of view that you're talking about.
It's just a lot of fun, Miriam. I get so excited, cutting my crops, in my little office tank, and
I know you must have sent me that photo 10 times. It's just as well that you don't have goldfish. We only have a couple of minutes left. Tell us again about the event, where people can find out about it, and who should come to it.
All right. Anybody that's interested in learning about aquaponics, I encourage you to go to youringenuity.com. That's youringenuity.com. And there you will see the godfather of modern aquaponics named Murray Hallam. The event is on our homepage there. We kick it off on Saturday, October 1st for a welcoming dinner. And
2016.
Then we go into a 4-day masterclass.
And if you're interested in, if you're an economic zone planner, a real estate developer, someone looking at municipalities, industrial planning, then go to themessengergrp.com, and that's the Messenger Group, and you'll see our vision and our team, and you can contact me on the contact page.
Well, you seem to have both sides of the equation pretty well wrapped up. This is fantastic. I'm so excited for both of you, and I look forward to some wonderful news. Maybe we'll have you back in, when do you think you will have your next project underway?
Well, by the way, if they want to meet you or they want to meet me, I'll be there with Kate and Murray and Arvin and Bevan, and you're going to be joining us Saturday night too, right?
Right, Saturday night. Okay, so it's J.D. Messenger, Kate Wildrick, the Messenger Group, and the Ingenuity, youringenuity.com. See you there. See you next week. Thank you for joining us.
All right. Thank you, Miriam. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kate. Bye.
Bye for now.